So the trade finally happened. Zach Lavine is not a Chicago Bull anymore. What did the Bulls get in return? Is it enough? Full reaction right after this.
This is your home for all things Chicago Bulls. Join the conversation. You're listening to Chicago Bulls Nation.
What is going on, Bulls Nation? So the day has finally come. Zach Lavine is no longer a Chicago Bull. It's a bittersweet day, to be honest with you. We know this day would come. Well, I didn't know. It was bleak last year. I think the notion that we need to attach some assets to get rid of Zach just didn't sit well with me, and that was the situation last year. Now this year, Zach was playing like an all-star. He wasn't selected as an all-star, but he was playing like one. He's also getting paid like not just an all-star, like an all-NBA, and I think that was the biggest hurdle on how teams view Zach Lavine. Everyone knows he's a good player, but what detracted them was how much he's making because of the new CBA, and also maybe a little bit is the injury history. So I wasn't really expecting a huge return for Zach Lavine. I was, all of the trade proposals that I was making on this channel is surrounding just free agents, expiring contracts. The Bulls didn't necessarily get those expiring contracts. However, they did gain a first rounder, our own first rounder, which I'm not mad about. Right, coming from last year. I mean, if you look at it in a vacuum, like the three team that happened, right? So the Kings got Zach Lavine, the second best player in this deal, three first rounders and 3 second rounders. But keep in mind, they are shipping out the best player here and the youngest player here, which is the Fox. They deserve to get more, right? For Zach, we're happy just to get that first pick. Who knows what's going to happen within the season, right? Our pick could very well fall to 11. That will go to San Antonio. Yes, it is still our pick, and yes, we are trending to keep them anyway. But, who knows what's going to happen next year? Now it's going to be top 8 protected. It could be 9th next year. It could be 10th. And now the San Antonio is going to get it. Now you have that peace of mind where you could do whatever you want next year and the upcoming years, and you don't have to worry about that pick conveying to San Antonio anymore. You don't have to drastically, alter how you play the game, so to speak. Because who knows if it's going to be a tankathon next year again, with these other teams. That is very extremely hard to tank with. As far as the incoming players for the Chicago Bulls, so we got Zach Collins, decent player, decent rotational player, hard-nosed player. Always liked his game. So, I mean, I would rather flip him, to be quite honest with you. But he's only has 2 years left in the contract. So the Bulls didn't necessarily get players who are expiring next year, but they might be expiring 2026, 1 year less than Zach Lavine. We got Kevin Huerter, who, again, those contracts they divided them to smaller size, like 16 for Huerter, another 16 for Zach Collins. Trey Jones is expiring after the season, so that's another $9 million off your books. Depending on what's going to happen to Nikola Vucevic, the one on the screen right now, we might need a center, and that's where Zach Collins would come in. I don't know still where Vuce is going to go. If he is even going to get traded. If not, I don't mind keeping him as well. He's only making 20. And then if we keep him next year, the following year, we have tons of expiring between him, Zach Collins, and Kevin Huerter, where that's like 50 million worth of expiring. So that would free up your books completely. Granting, I don't know what's going to happen to Josh Giddey. I would say don't sign him for anything more than what Kobe got. That's just my stance on it. He's a nice young player, but we know what happens to this current CBA, right? You can't have guys, even Vooch at 20 million is kind of hard to trade. So you don't want to overcommit yourself to a point guard, where there's a plethora of guard right now in the league. So you don't want to overpay for something that is not a sure ball, that is going to make you a better team in the long run, or even a part of your youth movement. We know Matas. I think Matas is the only guy in here that you can be like, all right, I want him to be a part of this future. But as far as the Bulls, this is not the best return that you're going to get. This is also not the worst. I'm not as mad as some people are, because perhaps my expectations were already low. I wasn't expecting we were going to get an unprotected first for Zach. Heck, we've come a long way from attaching an asset to Zach to actually getting our pick back. So that's a first rounder that we got, right? Like, regardless of how you view it, we gave away that first rounder and we got it back. So I think that in it by itself, and then we got Huerter and we got Zach Collins, two good rotational players, and even Trey Jones. That might be valuable to contending teams. So perhaps we can get a couple of second rounders for those guys, and so you can add that to the deal that we got for Zach Lavine. But what it does is it does finally reset the Chicago Bulls. It finally started this rebuild that was supposed to happen last year, but now it's in full swing. The youth movement is now here. We can concentrate now on giving valuable minutes to the guys that are here and that's gonna be here moving forward. Is this the end of the trade? I do hope not. Honestly, within this team, there's no untouchables. If there's anyone close to untouchable, that should be Matas Buzelis. Other than that, Kobe can go for the right price. Ayo can go for the right price. Right now, you're just accumulating assets that would set you up in the future, and hopefully those assets turns out to be good players down the line. But I'm excited to see what's going to happen between now and Thursday. Let me know in the comments, how do you feel about this trade for Zach? Do you think we got fleas? Do you think it's just right? Or do you think we could have gotten more? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you are a Bulls fan, I would appreciate if you sub to the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.